welcome to the Deep Rooted Podcast. We're Jeff and Rochelle. We're the hosts. So glad that you're watching. Hey, if you're watching YouTube, Facebook, all the things, Apple Podcasts, please subscribe, share, like, rate.
Gets the message
out. Get some ratings on there.
Come
That'd
on
be
now.
great.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Hey, we're in the middle of Marriage Month, and I think this has been fun. I've really enjoyed talking about various things, talking about last week, outside influences, and I think a lot of people resonated with that. There was a large viewership.
That's a huge deal. That's a huge thing that we often don't talk about.
Yeah, I think we might even want to hit it again at some point because we really just scratched the surface, but had lots of people even reaching out saying, okay,
Yes.
One of the big holidays, all the things like that. So we're not going to get into that. If I start talking, we'll head.
So we're not going to head down that trail, but we are on week 4.
But if you want us to head down that trail again,
let us know.
Put it in the comments, send a message, tell us, hey, if you have something you want to hear.
Absolutely.
Let us know. We'd love to talk about it. We love talking about the Word.
Yep.
Love talking about what God's doing in our lives, has done, what we've learned, what we wish we would have done. All those things. Yeah. So we're talking about marriage.
Week 4. And I want to encourage you, go back and listen. If you haven't, go back and listen, watch. It's incredible. So week 4 is seasons in marriage. Seasons in marriage. And this is so huge because sometimes we look back and we long for a back season. We look ahead and we think we might long for something ahead that we haven't had yet. But it's so important to recognize all of the seasons of marriage. And,
of life.
Not just marriage.
I think this is a life message. But we're going to relate it specifically to marriage.
Yes.
Today. But it's a life message.
Yes.
Don't disparage a season that you're in. And then we're going to just say this on the front end about marriage. Your season will change. Not your spouse. Oh man, this is a tough season. I think I'm going to switch out for a different model. No.
Yeah, we are not advocating
We are not advocating that. I don't think you'll actually get to a fulfilling season if you do that. Think you'll miss out. I really believe that.
Yes.
So
steward the marriage that you're in.
So we're talking about seasons.
Yep.
Things change, seasons change. Right now, it's springtime, but here I am wearing a vest.
And your soccer coach's t-shirt.
My soccer coach t-shirt. So that represents a season that we're in, and we'll probably talk about that here in a minute because got a lot on my plate, a lot going on, and how do you juggle all of that? So we kind of divided some seasons that we've experienced. We know that there are going to be even more seasons to come, and some seem like repeat of others, but we kind of wanted to hit a few seasons that we've been through, what we've learned through that, and how we survived it, or how it was wonderful, or thrived in it, whatever. So
the first season that we're going to talk about is the dating engagement season. Incredible season.
Yeah, super fun.
It's fun season, and a lot of newness that comes with the dating, with the engagement. And I think we should maybe even kind of qualify that a little bit. When we say dating, what we did and what we advocate is something more than just dating.
Like, hey, I'll date whoever. I mean, absolutely not. We were very committed, even when we got to the point of dating. I was 22. Mm-hmm. I was 22 years old, and I think you were 24.
Yes.
You are older. No.
Yes, I am.
But that's good to say. We were committed pretty well. I mean, and we knew pretty well very quickly for us. Dating turned into engagement really quick. And I know that depends on a season of life you're in.
I really do think how you do dating sets you up for how you will do marriage, how you view that. And so that's a season that's fun, but it's also a season that sets the foundation for the marriage.
Right.
What you do during that dating, during that engagement season really sets the backbone, the foundation of what marriage is going to be like. Now, it doesn't mean marriage has to be like that. I should say that.
Yeah, I mean, because even things in life then, we had very little responsibility.
Exactly.
wow, what was that like? I mean, we could just go and stay out late, or
we were so busy.
Go to Steak and Shake late at night or whatever. And, obviously we're really careful with how things looked, so that we would be careful with how things are. In that. But then that moved into our marriage relationship. Yes. And that was a new season. And I think we got baptized pretty quickly by fire into marriage. So, we dated and engaged for like 5 or 6 months. Mm-hmm. And then we went straight into marriage, and there was high stress. Very high stress immediately. Like everything you talk about on that scale of things that cause stress. Yeah. I believe we went through every one.
Yeah. We
literally
newly married, and right after we were newly married, we moved.
Started new jobs.
You
started a new ministry job. I did as well. We moved locations. We had conflict.
There was conflict that existed.
Lots of conflict that was even surrounding us getting married. Just a lot of things. We had some health issues right there within literally a week or 10 days of being married. So it was, when I look back, that was a very high stress season. Yeah. Very high stress.
Right away. It was,
it impacted us from the beginning. Now, I think our first year of marriage, like some people are like, oh, we didn't make it. We hardly made it through.
I'll just never forget this. I have to share this. Someone came to us.
Oh, I remember that.
In a reception line kind of thing. And they said, you can do it. It is so hard. Now, we've been married for a year.
12 months.
You can do it. And I remember looking at Rochelle going, I understand marriage takes work, but I don't think it's going to be like that.
No. So it was fun. But we were stressed, and we didn't know how to handle the stress as a married couple.
I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back and de-stress.
And we weren't stressed at each other.
No.
But we didn't know how to deal with all the outside stress together.
Yes.
Our dating and engagement time was full of, like, literally, I felt like no stress. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we were thrown into stress, a new ministry position that I put undue stress on myself in regards to that. Nobody else was putting the stress on me. I was doing it.
I was going to say that because that's what I felt for me. I don't think we could say, well,
it was somebody's fault.
I think I should have. I know for a fact I should have managed it a whole lot better. And like we talked about last week, manage those outside influences that I don't feel like I was managing well at all. Yeah. And but yeah, we learned a lot.
So for us, that season of high stress, which maybe will come for people at the beginning, maybe it'll come later. I don't know.
Yeah.
It can come. It will come. There will be moments where it's a high stress. Some factors that I think helped us get through: stay connected to the Lord, stay connected to one another, look for joy, look for fun. I look back and I enjoy having fun. I want everything to be fun. That's kind of a mantra. Yes, and I allowed that season to kill some of my fun. And I think you can't allow other people, outside circumstances, maybe even stress you're putting on yourself, take you out. And so that was something I learned from that season.
Don't self-sabotage yourself in the midst of stress. That's legitimate. But don't self-sabotage yourself.
Well, I even began not taking care of myself physically. I noticed it. I look back at pictures, I think, oh, I'm so glad social media wasn't around then. Because literally, I can see the stress on my face. Yeah. I was wearing it. And so, and we were dealing with our first 5 years of being married. We were dealing with infertility in that and several miscarriages and things like that. And I thought, I know all of that was weighing on me. And those are real things. But they don't have to be things that kill your joy.
Oh, absolutely.
And I feel like the Lord taught me that even before we had children, that it's not the child that's like, oh, now I'm going to be full of joy. Because we're going to talk about in a minute how having children brings you into a totally different season. But it's waiting upon the Lord so that he can give you joy in the midst of whatever circumstance you're in.
And I will say this, it could be the difficult seasons of life that really set up for what's going to happen. Now, when I say that, I don't mean God does these bad things so that you could have great things later. What I'm saying is that it forms our character.
He teaches us.
When we go through difficult seasons, they form our character.
Yes.
And you know, it sharpens us. It strengthens us.
They form our character if we do the things that we're supposed to do. It's not.
That's good. It doesn't happen by magic.
I really
That's
don't.
good. I like that.
I'm kind of getting triggered when people are saying, "Oh, I went through hard things, so therefore, God used it." No, we have to surrender that to the Lord and grow closer to Him. Take it to the Lord. And I think that's the part that's missing. Then God will use that to shape our character. Just because we go through hard things or tough seasons doesn't mean we actually grow through it.
We have to learn in the midst of it.
We have to grow through it with Him.
Absolutely.
Allow God to
Christ.
I mean, I look back at some of my journals in that time and I'm like, wow, I'm proud of myself. I was godly proud, you know. Yes. But I was going to the Lord with those things.
Yeah.
You know, and so that was a season.
Yep.
And you're learning, your marriage will, you know, and maybe some of you say, well, we didn't have any of those. I think when you combine two lives and you're figuring out it's not just two lives, it's like two whole families and work and ministry and all these kind of things. It's going to take some work. Well, then we found ourselves on year 5 of being married, pregnant with our first child, and having a child changed the season of our marriage.
I remember people would look at me going, your life's about ready to change, which I knew that, but I'm like, how so? And I'm telling you.
But like people said it in a way like.
People said it with a smirk on their face, like a joke was about ready to be played on me or something was going to be, I don't know. I wasn't sure. I was a little uneasy. And
what do you mean by that? But it shifts everything. It shifts everything.
The rhythms we were used to in this season of newly married, being married for 5 years, they weren't bad rhythms, but we did need to adjust these rhythms.
Everything had to change.
We had a new child in the home.
Now, don't hear me say we centered our home around the child.
Yes.
Please don't hear me say that. That is not, I believe, I wholeheartedly, that's something everybody has to fight, but we are not a child-centered home. We're a God-centered home.
Yes.
But having a child, just like getting married, exposes some of the places maybe of selfishness, some of the things that you have to give up. You are literally being selfless to put somebody else in front of you, a child's needs. The problem is just having a child doesn't do it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm mature because I had a child. No, you're mature because you allow God to change you, and He uses a child to do that.
That's good. It's like you can be an immature married person. Just because you're married doesn't mean you're
You can
matured.
be an immature mom or dad who doesn't really learn how to not be selfish. And the reality is that not all moms are selfless. Not all dads are selfless. Yeah. And God wants to kill some of those selfish natures, those things within us. And one of the ways He can do that is even using kids.
He does. And it was a celebratory time in our life, a prayer that was answered, a prayer fulfilled. So it was exciting. You can speak to this more than I can. It was exhausting, obviously. But it was celebratory. It was busy. It was exciting. So that was the kid's infant stage.
Well, and I remember having to take some times to be very purposeful in connecting. So, and we talked about this in one of our rhythms or patterns we've set up, but we intentionally took the evenings to spend time together. Yeah. And so that was why it's so important for the child to go to sleep in their crib, in their room, and you have some time to just talk. Have human interaction. We did not want to have children and then in 18 to 25 years, depending however many kids we have and when they leave, at the end go, who are you?
You might
that was really important to us.
Well, the baby's an infant. It's not hearing anything. It's just right there. I think it's so important, like we talked about, baby sleeping in their own crib, so that there's that time. And that's good.
So I think the infant stage obviously gave birth to the toddler stage. And I heard this said so many times the days are long and the years are short, and it would sort of get annoying to me when people would say that, but it's true.
Oh my, it's true.
It's just it depends on how many kids you have, how long or short the season is.
Yeah.
We kind of had our kids spread out a little bit for us. There's about 7 or 8 years difference between the oldest and the youngest. So, those toddler years weren't just a few years for us because we kept having more children. And so it kind of got longer. But I really found that in our marriage, we had to really focus on not losing ourselves in that.
Well, because think about it. Think about the nighttime routine.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting, and it really goes very fast. And all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute, we're exhausted. We just want to go to bed.
Right.
And so
right.
I think that toddler age is absolutely exhausting. It's fun. It's incredible, but it's exhausting. And again, we have to find that time to make sure we're still a married couple, not just parents.
Well, and even not losing our own dreams or aspirations along with raising kids. And so it's this delicate balance. I don't think I've mastered it, but trying to hear what God is saying for me as a woman of God, but also what God is saying to me as a wife, what God is saying to me as a mom. And there are times when certain things, vie for my attention. So, like the whole time we've had children, I've worked. Even sometimes multiple jobs I've worked. I've had a lot of flexibility in working from home, which has been, praise the Lord, been such a blessing to me. Even when I first had Madeline, the pastor that we worked for, I said, I'm going to have to quit. I can't do this. I want to be with my child. He said, you're not quitting. You're working from home. I'll do whatever it takes. You bring that baby, you work at midnight. I don't want you to quit. And it was a very big blessing.
You brought the baby to work for a little bit.
I did. And she grew up literally in church.
Literally.
And, in those kind of things, it's this balance because I get one shot. We get one shot of raising our kids. But, there's also other things that we have hopes and dreams of. And you have to balance that. And I don't know how else to say it except for you have to hear from the Holy Spirit. I can't sit here and say, do or don't do this. Now, I guess probably you share the situation. I could probably give you some advice. But we found ourselves both wanting to further our education in the midst of toddler season. So I remember you got your master's degree when our oldest was about 2. 1 or 2. 1, but really at that season.
So that means I had to do all the work at night.
Yes, because you had a full-time job and you did not do your work at the job. That would, it was just not what you did. Yep. So you used all your night times, weekends, and I want to say that we were on board together about that.
That could not have happened if you did not say, hey, this is a great idea. I think this is great. That would not have happened.
We had the same goals.
Yes.
And so it wasn't like, oh, I want to do this. Hey, can you hold this rock of everything for a year while I do this?
Because to be honest, I didn't...
And work an extra job really so that we could pay for it out of pocket.
Yeah, you can do that, right?
Yeah. Okay. We had the same dreams and we wanted to do that. And so it was a season. Within a season,
And looking back, it went fast.
It was the best time to do it because I'm telling you, it only gets harder as kids go along. So about 5 years ago, when our youngest was 1. So I guess we have this thing about when they're 1. Our oldest was 1, and then our youngest was 1. You started your doctorate. And this has been 5 years of doing that. And it has been a lot of long nights, a lot of even time away, having to travel.
Yeah.
That's a season. But we had to commit to that together.
Yeah. Another one,
having similar goals, what we wanted together.
No, and that's powerful. Another thing about this season and this kind of maybe heads into the parenting aspect of it, but our kids right from the get-go literally were in church.
Oh.
And you say, well, you're pastors, of course. But what I mean is, they were in church, and I think that's so important is because
I had C-sections on Monday, and they were in church on Sunday.
And the reason why I say that it's important is because
yeah.
our home is centered around not children. Our home, it's centered around Christ. Our kids know this. So
yes.
Right from an early age, they're singing songs that they're learning at church. They're memorizing Scripture. They're hearing Scripture before they can speak. So I think that's important too about that season as being toddler, because it's so easy to say, you know what, I'm tired.
I'm exhausted.
The nights are ours, and we just want to. Man, I tell you what, or the weekends are ours. Man,
the patterns that you set up right there at the beginning.
So powerful.
Oh my goodness, and you need it just as much as your kids. I mean, I'm I got to go to Bible study.
Absolutely,
I got to be a part of that. I got to, join in. And I wanted to say on the other thing, it's not just, well, I'm gonna sit back while you achieve all your goals and dreams, and I'll just sit here and watch that. I think, now, if that's what I'm not knocking that if that's a woman's goal and dream. I mean, believe me, I think there's something really valuable in that. But even in the toddler stage, I went back to school.
Yes.
In the toddlers, pre-K, 3 years old, I went back and got my master's degree in the middle of COVID, in the middle of my 3-year-old, but it doesn't have to mean you do nothing. Mm-hmm. It does mean you have to be creative about your time.
Yeah.
It does mean you have to be strategic and creative. And I'm glad we did it then, because now we're in the school age time. And as represented by what I'm wearing here to the podcast, we had to divide and conquer today.
Yeah. So you might think, man, once they get out of toddler, we get rid of the gates, we get all that. It's so much it's less busy. I will say, as we're in the school age, it becomes more busy, and here's the reason: not everybody's at the same event.
They actually have events. When you're a toddler, you don't have events. Your events are like VeggieTales. VeggieTales, I don't know, maybe hot dogs, and you're going to bed at like 7. Do you remember? I mean, the kids used to go to bed at like 7. Now we're like,
VeggieTales are your events.
Yeah, that's it. Now, you had one kid at a track meet and 25 minutes away.
I'm a track parent.
I was, coaching one of our other girls at a soccer team, and we converged at dinner together because we do dinner. Everybody got a snack beforehand. And we gathered dinner and then come home and do the showers and all the things. And here we are doing a podcast. And so we're wild. It's wild. But this is a harder season.
Yes.
In the sense of we have to be very intentional on connecting. Because now all of our kids know everything we're talking about.
Yeah, it's not like you can be like, oh, they don't.
Code. You had all this code that you could talk in. Code has been broken.
It's done.
I mean, we have like middle school. We have middle school kids now.
So we
middle
don't
school
talk.
And school age. So
maybe after this podcast, we'll talk.
Yeah. I mean, we have to find strategic time. That's even why we connect through the day. Because the nighttime, they're wanting to tell us about their days and things like that. Yeah. And that's important.
You need to be
we have to be connected with our kids. And so our time has to shift a little bit, but we still need it.
Yeah.
And we have to be intentional and stay connected, and also decide what we're going to do. You don't have to say yes to everything that's put before you.
That's it.
Rochelle, you don't. I'm teaching myself here.
No, that's a good thing, because you really want your kids to be involved. Definitely, we obviously in church, but outside of that, you want your kids to be involved in sports and things like that.
You learn a lot by being on sports teams.
Absolutely.
How to work together.
But you can't say yes to everything. You can never forsake your priorities. It's why we go back to those rhythms, those patterns we put in, priorities we talked about. You have to keep those always at the forefront, or else in these different seasons, life's going to come off the rails. So,
and we're anticipating. Some of you that have been maybe further down the road are like, oh, just wait.
Yep.
Just wait till they get in high school and college and all that.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't get it, but I understand that it'll be different.
Yeah.
It will require a lot, but I think the long and short of it that I've come away with thinking about the seasons of marriage and the seasons of life is that don't worry, no matter whether you love it or you hate it, it will change.
Yes.
It will not stay the same forever. It just can't. And so just savor the moment.
Yep.
I looked at you the other day and I said, I just love going to all these games. I do.
Yeah.
I love going to my kids' games. I love coaching them. I love being a part. I mean, it is literally a joy to me. Right now,
it's a blast.
I
It's
get
fun.
to volunteer at my girls' school like once a week. I love that.
Yeah.
And I know that it won't always be like this. Like, I get that there's a limited time, and I love that.
And I want to be careful. I think about this often. I want to be careful not to be so like, oh man, there's just so much going on, because that will not happen. There will be some point where
our house will be quiet.
We won't have games to go. Now, we'll have grandkids if you. But so I don't want to hurry this season for the next one. And I would encourage everybody for all of these, don't hurry the current season you're in for the next one, because there's great things about every season. There's incredible things.
Yeah.
I think it's learning to find the joy, you've said it several times, in every season.
So it was really funny. The other week we were on a plane flight, like a trip, with our kids, all three of them. And we were seated already. And there was this guy that was getting on the plane, and he had this big old car seat he's lugging down, and a diaper bag. He's holding on a kid, and there's like another one. And he looked like he was struggling with all the stuff.
Yes, he was, because I've been there.
I was like, you had like flashbacks, because he was like totally the pack mule and all these things.
Yeah, I was like having flashback, and you.
I was like, oh, this is great. So the guy going down the aisle, I looked at him and I said, it won't always be this difficult to travel. Like, I literally looked at him and said this.
You said that
I
out
go,
loud.
This is the first trip where we haven't had a car seat and a stroller.
And it was true.
And it was true. And I was like,
that was incredible. By the way, that was incredible.
I was like, literally, it was so easy to fly. Like, we have gone where we've had pack and plays and double strollers and multiple car seats. And I'm like, okay, we had to wear a mask, but at least that's like over with now, So, it will change.
Yes.
So I understand that you might be saying, oh, it's so difficult right now. Probably is.
Yeah.
It probably is. But try to look for what God is teaching you, what God's doing, and it will change.
It will. It will.
And keep the first thing first. I mean, keep Christ first.
Yes.
Don't abandon your relationship with Christ for the busy seasons. Don't abandon your marriage because life is busy. Because in the end, you might just end up waking up going, who are you?
Yeah.
And I don't want that. I don't want that for you.
Yeah.
We surely didn't want that. And so we are intentional about building that relationship. So huge thought in marriage is like
just identify the seasons, enjoy every season, and understand that seasons won't last forever. They'll come and they'll go. But God has something for you in each one.
Yes.
He has something for you in each one. So, hey, this has been week 4 of Marriage Month. Hey, go ahead and share this. Get this out. Love you guys. We cannot wait to see you next time as we continue our last week.
We're going to talk about
next time.
Just our faith and in marriage.
Living out our faith as a married couple. So that's coming up next. Can't wait.
All right. See ya.
See you later.